today's lesson is going to hit home to several people, including myself, and I'm going to try my best up here to keep my composure. But when I pause, it's probably because I'm trying to not cry. So, in my 25 years of life, the entire time being raised in this church, I don't recall ever hearing any or listening to hearing any sermons about widows. Granted, I've only started listening to the sermons about 4 years ago. Kidding. But I can't recall ever hearing about sermons of widows. But I'm sure there've been some in there that either I wasn't here for or I truly wasn't listening because I was too worried about my football fantasy team and was fixing my lineup. I'm part of a generation called Generation Z. I like to call it the worthless generation. I tell my parents all the time they did such a terrible job of raising their children. Their generation did. My generation is soft. We are a soft generation, and I think the World War II generation would be very disappointed in us. I truly do. I can speak for myself when I say until a couple years ago, I didn't think much about widows and how near to God's heart they were. Like I said, I think my generation is selfish and self-absorbed a lot of the time, and I'm guilty of that too. But I promise you, I am working on it every day. The past couple of years, I had an entire change of outlook in how I view the elderly and especially widows. I think God has a pretty funny sense of humor. About 5 years ago, a little backstory. 5 years ago, I going into nursing school, I had to have certain, I had to be CNA, certified nursing aide. I had to be CNA certified in order to apply for nursing school and to be accepted into that. So I had to do training in Woodward for 2 weeks. And I'll tell you what, it was the worst 2 weeks of my life. It was the longest, most boring thing I think I've ever done. I didn't like it at all. And I kept thinking to myself, is this truly what I want to do? And I was like, no, I'm not going to be a CNA, obviously. I'm going to be a nurse, but this isn't what I want to do, and this is depressing. On the other hand, my mother, she enjoyed it. She did it because my grandfather noticed that my grandmother, Judy, was failing physically and mentally, and my mother took it upon herself to get CNA certified so she could help out whenever, she could. So this class I found to be an absolute snore fest. It was 2 weeks long. It was 1 week of classes in the classroom and then 1 week of hands-on training. Both were just agonizingly boring, just terrible. I was not a fan of, feeding anybody, of taking people to the bathroom, walking like this for 20 minutes, taking somebody somewhere. I didn't have the patience for it at that time. As a 20-year-old kid, I was like, I don't see how people can do this. This is not for me. And so I completed that. I was like, okay, I'm done. Thank goodness. And then I went to college. I went to 2020. So I would have been going to OC. So I went to college and I did all my classes. I enjoyed the ER. I enjoyed med surg. I even the mental health. There's certain areas of nursing that I enjoyed. I was like, I can maybe see myself doing this. And I enjoyed it all. And then I had passed all my classes going into the next summer. I figure out I have to have a certain amount of hours of CNA work to continue and to keep my nursing, to continue my nursing education. And so me and my mother got a call from Caitlin over at Beaver. And we said, we need hours. Can we come over there and help maybe? Is there any way we can come over and help assist, like on a night even or day? And oh sure, yeah, we're always short. So, did a couple hours there. I had to get I can't remember how many hours it was, but I had to do a certain amount of hours to retain my nursing so I can keep going to nursing school. And I had the same mentality as the year before. It still wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't see how you could sit there for 12 hours and do what those people did every other day or every day. And I told my mom that on the way home, I said, Mom, I'll never work there. I mean, I'm done with it, but yeah, I'll never go back there. I've got my hours. You'll never see me back there. I guess you know where all this is going. 2 years ago, I accepted a job at Beaver Nursing Home as a charge nurse. I'm the night shifts over there still, and let me tell you, I enjoy it. I truly do. I love every day I go over there. I accepted that job for many reasons. The first reason is because I felt obligated to repay back to my grandfather what he did for me. He was the main one that put me through nursing school. He's the one that talked me into being a nurse, and then he put me through nursing school. So I started my training, my prerequisites at Alva at Northwestern. I went there and I did the whole campus tour, and they told me everything. Oh, this is the best nursing program in the state, and one of the top 5 in the country. It was affordable. I was like, this is too good to be true. I'm 2 hours from home. It's affordable. I can do this. It was all a scam. They scammed me. And so I did my prereqs there for 2 years, and when it was time to apply for nursing school, they told us, when I first went there, they said you had to take something called the TEAS test, which is the test that you have to pass at a certain score to be accepted into the nursing program. So they told me that when I went on my college visit. And so my grandfather bought me all sorts of testing books and practice. I can run through practice questions and do all these sorts of things. And then the year, I think it was 4 months before I could apply to nursing school, they told us, oh, you're not doing the TEAS anymore. You're doing something called the Kaplan, which is 1,000,000 times harder than the TEAS. Because we have now they were certified to do the practitioner, you can do practitioner degrees there. So they bumped it up. And so obviously, of course, I didn't get accepted. So, I thought to myself, okay, Grandpa, I went 2 years here. I did what I can do, but I don't think I can do this. I don't know what I can do. I don't want to wait around the year. I don't want to reapply just so I wasn't even close to getting in. There were 500 applicants, only 10 got accepted. Okay, I wasn't even close. I can't waste another year and do this again. I got to find something else. I got to switch my major, or I got to go somewhere else. I can't stay here anymore. So, my grandpa got on the phone with every single nursing program in the state, every one of them. And I had missed the deadline to apply to every one of those except for 2. OCCC in Oklahoma City Community College, and OC, Oklahoma Christian. He helped me get interviews to both of those programs, and they didn't lie to me. It was the TEAS test, and guess what? I passed with an advanced score. So, kind of like I thought I would at Alva. So he got me interviews. He got me that testing, that setup. We went me and him went to OCCC, and we sat down and talked to a lady that kind of laid everything out for us and told us the steps we needed to take in order to achieve what I wanted to do. And she was very, very helpful, and I appreciate her to this day. I got accepted into both programs, but I decided to go to Oklahoma Christian. It was my parents' alma mater, my grandmother, almost all my family went there. So I decided to do that, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed it there very much. My grandpa Hurst lived long enough to watch me graduate in 2 years there. He watched me walk the stage and get my BSN degree. He's the one that pinned me that night. I felt like I owed it to him because he was the main reason I was there. And shortly after that, he had passed away 2 days before I took, 2 days before I took my NCLEX test. And it was a tough time. I failed it twice. I passed on my third time. That was my excuse the first time. I didn't have an excuse the second time. I was just a bad test taker. And the third time, I finally buckled down and got it passed. And so when he passed, my grandma, which is right here, his wife, with the amazing hairdo, she was transferred from Stroud to Beaver to be closer to my mother, to be closer to her son, my dad, known caregivers. It had been hard for us to get to Stroud every other week. My mother tried. She tried going to Stroud as much as she could, but it just took a toll on her going 6 hours every other week, and it was better for us to get her here. So we moved her here, and she's been here for 2 years. I guess as long as I've been there, and she's still doing good. She don't know where she's at. She don't know what day it is, but we know that she's getting taken care of. I want to say something real quick. Some of you are going to be in my lesson. Your pictures are going to be up here. Just a heads up. If you see yourself up here, that's why. So over the last 2 years, I've been able to identify why widows hold such a dear place in God's heart. I got some Bible verses here that I'm about to read about widows and what God thinks of them and what He says about them and how we should treat them and how to take care of them. I think the Bible mentions the word widow 81 times, so it's pretty relevant. There are really 3 different things you can find about God and widows when you look in His scriptures, what He thinks about them. Number 1, God cares for and defends the widows. Number 2, God commands us to take care of the widows. And number 3, God will punish those who cause harm to the widows. The first point, I'll read some verses that kind of reflect that. Psalm 68, verse 5. God in His holy habitation is the father of the fatherless and the judge of widows. Deuteronomy 10, verse 18. God defends the cause of the orphans and the widows and gives them food and clothing. Proverbs 15, verse 25. The Lord tears down the house of the proud, but He protects the property of the widows. Psalms 146, verse 9. The Lord will preserve and relieve the fatherless and the widows, but the ways of the wicked He will turn upside down. I just noticed I missed a slide, so there we go. That's reflecting back. Some of you might be in my lesson. I told my mom that I could handle the clicker, and I'm already screwing it up. So, number 2 here, going back to God commands us to take care of the widows. There's a few verses I'd like to read from that too. Deuteronomy 16, verse 14 says, "Be joyful at your festivals or holidays with your sons and daughters, the orphans and the widows who live in your town." Zechariah chapter 7, verse 10 says, "Do not oppress the widow or the orphans, the foreigner or the poor. Do not plot evil against one another." This is even a more direct quote from God. I found in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 3 and 4. It says, "Give proper recognition to those widows who are really in need. But if a widow has children or grandchildren, these should learn first of all to put their religion into practice by caring for their own family and so repaying their parents and grandparents for this is pleasing to God. So, I mean, listen to that. Can you blame me for being a nursing home nurse? I mean, if something pleases God, that's got to be one of the biggest honors that you can have. I mean, truly. Listen to that and reading that, it gives me comfort knowing that I picked the right job. And if it might not be the best job, it might not be the flashiest job, but I know the people that work there, people that put up with it, they have to have some goodness in their heart, and I think that gives me comfort knowing that I can handle it, and I can do what other nurses there can do. And number 3, God will punish those who cause harm to widows. Exodus chapter 22, verses 22 through 24 says, "Do not take advantage of the widow or the orphan. If you do and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry, and my anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless." No thanks to that on my part. I don't want to be killed by any sword, especially one of God's. Mark 12, verse 38 through 40, Jesus said, "Watch out for the teachers of the law. They like to walk around in their flowing robes and are greeted with respect in the marketplace. They have important seats in the synagogues and the places of honor at the banquets. They devour widows' houses They devour widows' houses and for a show makes lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely." It seems pretty clear to me that God cares for the widows. He defends them, cares for them, and he commands us to take care of them. And he will punish those that do not take care of them or that abuse them, either physically or with neglect. Any way that's harmful. And moving on. I've realized the struggles of widows. It doesn't just have to be financial struggles. I've seen depression. I've seen sadness over a nursing home many times. There's some individuals there that haven't heard from their kids in years. I mean, it's 7, 8 years, and no one comes and sees them. The only interaction they got are from nurses and CNAs, and it's sad. It's sad. I came across a few articles that I think summed up our widows, that summed up some of our widows. And one of them came from Dear Abby. I told my mom I have no idea who Dear Abby was, but she said that everyone here, except for maybe about 3 people, and it's me and probably my cousins down here, have no idea what Dear Abby is. So I'll go ahead and read it right here. It goes like this. This is the picture for Dear Abby. "Our children grow up, marry, and have their own children. Each grandchild is special. We love them and adore being with them. Then the grandkids grow up and have little ones of their own. By this time, we're old and sometimes need help with the housework, yard work, or just like to get out of the house to go eat or shop. We still have feelings as we're not dead, but while it may not be intentional, it seems there is no time for the elderly. We may say we're fine and don't mind being alone, but it is lonely at times. No one calls to say hello or to ask if we need anything. How long does it take to make a call? It would be nice if each family member called once a week or came by once a month. The love we've always had for our family is still there and it's still strong. Children and grandchildren, please think about this and remember, the most important thing you can give the your elderly relatives is your time. Time is the most precious gift, and it doesn't cost a thing. Life goes in a cycle, and someday you'll be old too." Some of these other thoughts I took from Miss Sue Cogburn, and I don't see her back there. But she understands how widows feel, even if they say they're doing okay. You don't lose someone once. You lose them when you're close. You don't lose someone once. You lose them when you close your eyes at night and when you open them each morning. You lose them throughout the day. When their coffee cup is empty, their chair is empty. Their shoes are no longer by the door. You lose them on big days, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays. You lose them on regular days too. You lose them in a song. Just give me one quick second. I'm going to get there, I promise you. You lose them a song they used to sing, the scent of their cologne, their favorite meal that you no longer feel like cooking. You lose them when you have a thought to share and no one to share it with. Time marches on, and with each passing, oh my gosh. With each passing day, your memories are carried further and further away, and the details begin to blur. You look at their picture, and they've stayed the same age as your hair has whitened and your body is aged. No, you don't lose someone once. You lose them every day, over and over, for the rest of your life. Like I said earlier, until I saw every day at work, my 25-year-old brain didn't think about what an 80-year-old went through. I'm thankful that God has shown me. I've learned that small gestures are equally as meaningful as the grandiose gestures. Like I said, it's not just the financial struggle that they go through. Sometimes it lacks a human touch. When someone loses their partner, they lose that human touch. So, I do my best job when I see somebody, or I see a widow, I like to give them a hug, tell them how much I appreciate them and how good it is to see them. I like to hug them around the neck. When we saw Miss Ruby Maynard here at the start, or last year in September, when she had moved down to Kingfisher, we wanted to go by and see her and give her a big old neck hug, because she's one of the ones that meant a lot to me and to my family in this congregation. We took a picture with her there, and she's doing really good there. Looks great. Widows are eager to tell their story, so are we eager? I need a Kleenex. I'm up here. Like I said, widows are eager to tell their story, but are we eager to listen? I never knew my grandpa Witt, but this lady did. Miss Ruby Fast. She was over there at the nursing home when I started. She was there for a year, about 10, 11 months. And she would tell me stories about my grandfather that not even my mother knew. Granted, she told me it about 10 times, but I listened every time. Every time she told it, I listened every time like she was the first time. She told me that he would come into town and pay about 20 cents, can't remember what it was, to use the telephone. And that was how she knew my grandpa Bill early on. And it means the world to him. And when you listen to their stories, and you might end up learning something. When someone loses their mate and they lose their partner, when someone loses their mate, they lose their partner and their built-in dinner date, their movie date, or their escort to a basketball game. I've had the privilege to drive my grandma to many ball games, and I wouldn't change it for the world, no matter if Tyrone got beat by 50 or won by 50. I was happy to be there because I got to ride with my grandma. I even got to carry her purse at the state basketball tournament. The church is filled with some of the most awesome widows. These ladies have loved me. They've loved me my whole life, from when I was a little kid, going to classes to now as a 25-year-old. I know that God loves you all, and He's given us all the hands and the feet to minister to Him. I thank God for putting me in this congregation so I can see that, and so I can be a part of their life and they can be a part of my life. I want to thank, like I said earlier, you're going to be in my slides here. I want to thank you all publicly, and I want you to know that I might not always say it, but I appreciate everything that you've ever done for me, and I know that most of you have had an impact on my life. First one is Miss Janelle. Second one is Miss Jeannie back here. She used to cut my hair from, like I said, when I was a little boy to, about 7 years ago. She was my built-in barber. And to this, she's still cutting hair, I believe. And right here, she's giving my grandma a little haircut. Miss Evan Whiskey, we used to mow for her. We still do, I believe. Well, I don't really. My parents and my cousins, my mom does, and my cousins do. But we do still. They still tend to the yard. Miss Burdine Rollins. And Miss Fran. And she's another one. We take care of Fran's yard. Sometimes we don't do it to her specification, but we do our best. Several years ago, I told God never, but God's ways are not always my ways, and God knows best. And here are some of my people over at Beaver that I've come to love dearly. I've learned about them. They've told me their childhood. They've told me about them growing up. I feel like I go over there and I'm talking to one of my grandparents. How familiar I am with them. Well, that's not it either. I guess that's the one that reflects it. Life doesn't always work out as we plan, but it always works out the way God knows is best for. When we go over to sing, when we went over to sing a month ago, I believe, my mom took some pictures of me with some of the residents over there. And they are always incredibly happy and very eager for the Church of Christ to come and sing to them every one Sunday a month. Every time I go there, they ask me, "Are you coming? You guys coming this Sunday?" "No, we came last Sunday, honey." "Okay, well, I'll let you know when we come again. Don't worry. I'll make sure you're down there." "Okay, all right." It puts a smile on their face. They don't. Not a lot of these ladies. There's a select few in there, but there's a lot of these ladies that don't get to go out to church anymore with their families. Singing on Sundays is the closest they get to God sometimes, and when you look at them, this lady right here is blind. She knows every word to every song we sing. She doesn't need a songbook. You can tell that she was a titan of faith by the way she sings, by the way she's 103 years old, and she walks better than me sometimes. She gets down there every time we come, even if she's not feeling good. She wasn't feeling good last time. I think it was this time. And she made it a point to get up and come down there so she could sing. There's another one right here. She's one of the ones that asks every day if we're coming to sing. No matter if it's on a Sunday or a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, it's every day. "Are you coming to sing?" "Yeah, we're going to come one of these Sundays. Don't you worry. I'll make sure you're down there." And Miss Elaine Oden, she knew my grandmother when they went to OC in Bartlesville. And she asked me every day how my grandma's doing. And she's another one that tells me one of those stories a million times. I just sit there and I listen about her and how she met me and my grandmother and my grandpa Bill at Bartlesville and at OC. If you want to find the way to please God, and to please God, minister a widow. We have widows in our congregation, in this town, in our local nursing homes. Seek them out, listen to them, hug them, love them. Take them out to eat, and like I said, go sing to them when you get the chance. I'm speaking to everybody, but I want to emphasize the young generation. You know, they're not going to be here forever. Appreciate them while they're here. They'll teach you lessons. They'll love you. They've been a part of your life as long as you've been here. They've helped raise you. So the least you can do is give back. And I promise you, when that time does come, you'll thank yourself for taking the time out of your schedule, spending time with them, going out to lunch, taking them to ball games, making a point to see them. You'll thank yourself for doing that. It'll give you comfort. I want to thank you all for everything you've done for me, the widows. You guys come with a smile on your face, no matter how you're feeling. You greet everybody. You love everyone here. And without you all, this congregation would be nothing. You're the straw that stirs the drink, as I like to say. You make everything stick together, and you certainly make the Sunday dinners a lot better when you cook. I promise you that. If it was just the guys here, we'd have nothing but burgers, steaks, and barbecue. So I want to thank you all for always taking care of us, taking care of me in my 25 years of life. That's all I got for you this morning. If there's anything you can take away from what I said, please just spend time with your mother, spend time with your grandmothers, the widows. Know them, treat them the way that they should be treated. Let them know how much they mean. If I don't even know how this goes. If we can assist you in any way, please come forward as we stand and as we sing at this time.